Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chainsaw Reacts podcast, episode number 27. And today, guys, we are covering two topics, and those topics are in order: are number one, Captain America Civil War footage description. Unfortunately, Marvel has not released the footage as of yet. They might release it at some point soon. Who knows? Fingers crossed. But I'm going to go through the description of the footage and talk a little bit about what I think about all the things that were shown in the footage. Obviously, I can't talk about what I see. I got to talk about what I'm reading and basically speculating how it looks on screen and go over all that kind of stuff and basically give some more speculation to the Civil War movie in general. So we're going to get into all that good stuff. The second topic will be, of course, another big piece of news, which is TV related, which is Constantine is appearing on Arrow Season 4. I'm extremely excited to get to that as the second topic, so we'll get to that second. So let's start off now with the first topic, which is, of course, Civil War footage, Captain America Civil War footage, description, and all that good stuff. A lot of sites have been covering this and basically giving their own interpretations of the footage. The unfortunate part for me is that I have not seen the footage. No one except who was sitting there at D23 during the panel has seen the footage and all that good stuff. So all I can do is go off based of what the descriptions are reading, and the descriptions I've been reading before starting this podcast, starting up, basically recording. All the descriptions are basically saying the same thing, just minor details are either left out or kept in. But anyways, I'm going to go through the one that really summarizes the majority of it up and all that good stuff. So let's start off now talking about it. So I'm going to read off exactly how it's posted here. So first we see Falcon, Cap, and Black Widow taking on Crossbones, Frank Grillo, in an open square. And I believe that there was a bunch of photos released and this like square like type of deal where they're explaining here in the description here. There was actually leaked photos of Crossbones and Captain America fighting, but also Falcon, Cap, and Black Widow are together, so they are there as well in this fight scene in an open square. And actually, Anthony Mackie and Chris Evans were there to introduce the footage at D23, so that was kind of cool. And it says that Falcon has an upgraded flight suit, which we have seen in multiple photos, and I believe that same flight suit is shown off in Ant-Man, if you have seen the movie Ant-Man. If not, spoiler, but anyways. So I like the fact that they're keeping the upgraded flight suit. Maybe it'll be upgraded a little bit more, maybe in this movie, since there has been some time since the end of Ant-Man to Civil War, so maybe his suit is a little bit different. But if you have seen Ant-Man, and if you've seen Ant-Man and you've seen his suit, then you're probably you're pretty aware of what his upgraded flight suit is. I think you get to see it also in the end of Age of Ultron. I think it's the same one, and the same surveillance tech he displayed in Ant-Man, so he's going to keep that there. But Crossbones is focused squarely on Cap, which is pretty interesting. So Crossbones is ignoring Falcon and Black Widow, but he's focusing on Cap apparently in the footage. And he basically goes on to say, and Crossbones says to Cap, "You know, he remembered you, your pal, your buddy, your Bucky." I'm not sure if that's the exact line, but that basically is very interesting that Crossbones is trying to get into Captain America's head, which is pretty interesting. That's very psychological approach in taking on him, because I'm pretty sure Crossbones know he can't take on Captain America, even though he is Crossbones and he's, got some armor and all that kind of stuff. We've seen some photos of what he looks like. He looks pretty badass, but he probably knows he can't take on Captain America at his full force, so he's going to try to get inside his head and try to mess with his mind and do all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty interesting tactic on his part right there. Let's continue on with the next segment, which I'm really excited to actually see this, and I'm hoping that the first official, teaser or something they put out will be similar to this, because I really want to see this. But let's get to the rest of it. So now this person who wrote this is actually messed up. They said a politician played by William Hurt. William Hurt played General Thunderbolt Ross in the Incredible Hulk 2008 movie with Edward Norton, and of course that Hulk movie is in, of course, the MCU, and unfortunately Edward Norton didn't return, so we had to get Mark Ruffalo. But regardless, it's not a politician, it's General Thunderbolt Ross. Starts a voiceover, and he says this: "The world owes you an unpayable debt. While a great many people see you as a hero, there are some who prefer the word vigilante. People are afraid." And that's pretty interesting. I'm wondering who he's saying that to. I'm pretty sure he might be saying that to Iron Man, Captain America. It's very vague, but it does say that sets the conflict that will divide Steve Rogers, who thinks superheroes should remain free-willed, and Tony Stark, who favors government registration. And so at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so General Thunderbolt Ross, it sounds like he's kind of in the middle of this because if this voiceover, whether he's saying this to Iron Man or Captain America, my assumption is Iron Man since Captain America is against the government registration, and of course General Thunderbolt Ross works for the government, so I'm pretty sure he's saying that to Iron Man, saying that people are afraid. People say you're a vigilante. We owe you a great debt, but we need to have a registration. And of course, as the voiceover says, the world owes you an unpayable debt. While a great many people see you as a hero, there are some who prefer the word vigilante. People are afraid. So at that point, he's trying to maybe he's at this point trying to convince Iron Man, who probably isn't 100% on board, saying, look, people are afraid. People might see you as a hero, but there's others that are scared of what you could possibly do. So that's pretty interesting there. Now a line pops up where Tony says to Tony Stark says to Steve Rogers, Iron Man says to Captain America, "Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth." And I hear that a lot, that the crowd exploded in like yes when they heard that line, because that's the fight. Unfortunately, as from what I've been hearing, there was no fighting between those two shown in it at all. And then the friendly banter going on. There's some innocent Stark's word this time, and saying that basically Tony Stark is being like real, like he's not being friendly banter. It's not that, he is showing that he is actually angry at Captain America. And also says here, we also see Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, in full costume, which I'm really excited to see. There's been some leaked pictures, but they're not that good because they're kind of going the route with Black Panther's suit, kind of like the Vision suit in Age of Ultron, and continuing on where in the Vision suit in Age of Ultron, the Vision, half of his suit, like he's wearing a real suit, Paul Bettany is, but his suit is half CGI, half real, and I believe that's the way Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther is going to be. But it says we see Black Panther though all we see is a split second in which he extends his claws. Ooh. Also making appearances is the Vision, Scarlet Witch, and hilariously Ant-Man. Paul Rudd Scott Lang is meeting Captain America for the first time and is in awe, doing the same fanboy routine that Agent Coulson did in the Avengers. He trips on his words. Thanks for thinking of me. Thanks for thanking of me. Thanks for thinking of me. So he screws up his words. That's why it sounded weird just now. And I've been reading also other places too left out, that apparently that Black Widow and Hawkeye actually fight in a certain segment of the footage, and of course that wasn't mentioned here. But I've been reading that also happens as well. Actually, let me look on here. There was actually a pretty good description on Twitter that I actually want to read through actually real fast if I can find it. But with what I've been said so far with this parts, there's other parts I think that was left out. I think that this is pretty interesting. Like, they didn't try to go the route of showing a bunch of Avengers fighting each other. They really went for the trailer angle where it's voiceover. There's some intense moments being shown on screen, showing one of the villains, which is of course Crossbones in the film, and going off into that. But let me scroll through here and try to find where exactly this description was, because it's pretty far down. I actually gotta scroll in to find it. But I think that this is pretty interesting. One big notice that people were mentioning that no Spider-Man in this trailer. I think they're trying to hold off Spider-Man as much as they possibly can, because it's just like, okay, he's in the movie. We know that for sure. It's been confirmed. But, if we show him, if they would have showed him off in the trailer, people would have got a screenshot of it and we would know exactly what his costume looks like, and it's no, there is no surprise at that point, Let me keep on scrolling here. I'm actually really close to it. If the thing would let me scroll, my freaking phone is freezing. Oh god, okay. Let's see. Yep. I'm getting down to it, guys. I'm sorry I'm wasting a lot of time here. Okay. Says Captain America was fighting Crossbones, so apparently you do get to see some fighting. Obviously, this is going off of a Twitter, basically going over what the person was watching. Bucky is in a room, which of course we see at the end of Ant-Man, so that you show that. Scarlet Witch, there's a funeral scene. Vision is in a tux. That's pretty interesting. So there's a funeral scene. Of course, there was some photos put out there that they were filming a funeral scene. And my guess is, now don't take my word on it, but I'm pretty sure the funeral scene is for Agent Carter, because I think she had dementia or something, but she forgot that she said all these things to Captain America, and then she starts repeating herself like, "Oh, it's you!" Like she repeats herself in Winter Soldier. So I believe she dies in this movie. Vision in a tux, that's pretty interesting. I really want to see that just for the lulz, you know. Tony to Cap, sometimes I just want to punch you in your perfect teeth, so we got to see that. Uh okay, here we go. General Thunderbolt Ross. So far nothing has happened that can't be undone. Stark. Without boundaries, we're no better than the bad guys. Ooh, see that is I have to agree with that to some extent because you know that is the truth because that's always an issue that comes from heroes. You know, at a certain point, if there's no boundaries or you don't, if the hero doesn't try to limit themselves, they're going to become what they're fighting. They're going to become what they are against. You know, and I guess in Tony Stark's mind, from saying without boundaries, we're no better than the bad guys. Him saying that to General Thunderbolt Ross, Iron Man, Tony Stark is afraid that if there's no boundaries, these superheroes, these heroes, the Avengers, the people that help others and defeat the bad guys, could become the bad guys, and so that's very interesting. Hawkeye is fighting Black Widow, which I'm really excited to see that as well. War Machine is with Iron Man, same side. They're all gathering their sides, of course. That's no surprise that War Machine picks Iron Man's side. I mean, they're best pals to the end, and all that. Black Widow, we're still friends, right? Hawkeye, depends how hard you hit me. Ooh, like what exactly is that all about? I mean, so Black Widow we assume is on Black Widow is on someone's side. We're not really exactly sure. Hawkeye is on someone else's side. That's why they're fighting, I guess. Falcon opens a garage, and opens a car. Inside there is Scott Lang sleeping in it. Scott meets Tony. Tony, wait a minute. Scott meets Tony. Wait, so maybe they got this thing wrong here. They said that the Ant-Man met Captain America. So maybe Ant-Man meets Tony and okay, Tony all excited. Maybe this person screwed up here. But regardless, Ant-Man meets somebody. We don't know. My first source says that it was meeting Captain America. This one says Tony Stark. But then again, Falcon is not with Tony Stark, so I'm assuming this person's wrong. So yes, I'm gonna stick with that. Ant-Man Scott Lang meets Captain America, not Tony Stark, and shown in the footage. And we get a quick shot of Black Panther. That's a wrap. No Spider-Man. Okay, so there was only a few tidbits left out there. We finally got through all that kind of stuff. My overall thoughts and impressions, man, we're going into 12 minutes here, guys, on this segment, but that's okay. We need to go through all of it. My thing is that I am really surprised to hear about who's on whose side. Obviously, we can say, that I'm really curious about Spider-Man's side. We've heard reports and assumption that Spider-Man is going to be on Iron Man's side. Spider-Man wants regulation. That's what we've been hearing, that he wants to be regulated, like Tony Stark said in the trailer from this person's rundown on Twitter. But for me, I'm just really curious about what his whole thoughts are because he's a high school kid who has the powers to swing, to swing around the city and basically, he is Spider-Man and he's obviously still a kid, so he's not into his full potential of what he could do with the powers and capabilities he has. So I'm really curious about his angle and what he thinks about the Registration Act and the heroes that are against it and all that kind of stuff. And I have been hearing a lot of reports and speculation that this movie is going to blow people's minds, and I believe it will. There's way more people, there's way more heroes, and there's way more going on in this movie than Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron stepped it up with more characters, but I believe this movie will blow everybody's mind, and it's a great way to start off Phase 3 of the cinematic universe. But at the end of the day, I want to see the footage. We're probably not going to get it for quite some time, but I love hearing all this information because it shows they're taking this seriously. These heroes have to pick a side, and I'm hoping that not every character, but the majority of the ones we care about. Excuse me, my voice went there for a second. I'm really curious to hopefully they'll explore a little bit about why Black Widow, Hawkeye, and the rest of these characters who are not immediate connections to Iron Man or Captain America, why they're picking the side they're picking. Like we know War Machine is going to pick Iron Man's side. We know, Falcon is going to pick Captain America's side. So I'm really curious about what is Scarlet Witch? What's her side? Vision's side? Well, I mean, there's been reports and stuff that the sides have been picked, and apparently people know, but it's not confirmed. They're not going to confirm the sides until really close to the movie, so we can kind of expect it. Or maybe they won't officially tell us, and we'll have to go see the movie to find out everyone's side, and maybe people are switching, and maybe people are kind of second guessing themselves. Do I really want to go this direction? Do I really want to go on this side? And all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that they don't fully give away everybody who's on each side. Keep it up to the imagination, because in the comic books, people pick their sides and all that kind of stuff. But in the movies, this is going into a different direction than the comic book version. So I'm hoping that in this movie version that there's some surprises left for us there. Now, hearing all this description and all this stuff that was shown in the footage, what do I wish was added into it? I was really hoping some Spider-Man hinting. Maybe not show him in a suit, but show Tom Holland at some point or whatever. But they didn't do that, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Um, do I think they're going to release this footage soon? I don't think so, because we got our first official look at Age of Ultron, which came out in the same month of May of this year. Our first official teaser was on my birthday. It leaked, and Marvel released it officially online on my birthday, October 22nd. And my theory is that we're not going to get our first official footage until September or October. Now, the one thing that it could happen, I'm not trying to promote it, not trying to say, hey, I want this to happen so bad. If it gets leaked out, if someone recorded that footage and put it out there and it's getting posted everywhere, if Marvel can't get it out, Marvel can't stop it. If Marvel can't, stop the footage from getting out, they might have to release it early. Am I saying that that's a bad reason why? Yes. Will I love it? Still, yes, I would still love it. But it is what it is. But from hearing all this description and hearing all this stuff about people really excited for this trailer, I can't wait to see this trailer. I can't wait to see this movie. I hope that it will blow my mind. I'm hoping this movie will be the best thing ever, because even though people had a lot of issues with Avengers Age of Ultron, I loved the movie for what it was, and I can't wait to see Avengers fighting Avengers. I mean, this is going to be perfect. And the one thing I do have to give credit to Marvel is that hearing from all the descriptions, obviously, if there was any shots of Iron Man fighting Captain America in the trailer, it would be everywhere. Everybody was saying, we got to see first official footage of Captain America fighting Iron Man. And they held it off. They didn't show it. They just showed the little tension of it's gonna get bad, where Tony Stark says to Steve Rogers, "I just want to punch you. Sometimes I just want to punch you in your perfect teeth." Ooh, that is good. And I'm just so excited for this movie. And one other thing I'm really excited to really see, besides, of course, all the characters returning, is Black Panther. I'm really excited to see that character, because Black Panther has been a really cool comic book character for a long time. I've really enjoyed the comics he's been in. I really just enjoy the character story of him. I really enjoy his character. I really enjoy his costume, and I really like the costume that they're putting him in this in the cinematic universe. And the actor Chadwick Boseman, he's a really good actor, so it all works out. And I'm glad that they're finally introducing him. And unfortunately, his movie was pushed back because the Spider-Man movie. But the fact he's getting his first introduction into this movie, and the fact that they might be putting him into another movie, who knows? I mean, he might show up somewhere else. So before his solo movie. But regardless, I believe with putting in new characters into this movie, the new Spider-Man, the new not the new, but Black Panther, the new Spider-Man, I think that's really going to boost people to really want to see these characters. Like, they'll be more excited to see more of this new Spider-Man, more of Black Panther, and all that kind of stuff. So, and then again, we don't know all the details. There's been some more rumors and speculation that Hulk is in the movie, and I've been hearing, that probably not confirmed, but who knows, that Captain Marvel might pop up. Maybe not as Captain Marvel, but as Carol Danvers. I believe that's who the character's name is, Carol Danvers. But before she becomes Captain Marvel, we might get that. And I've also been hearing Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch might appear, but I don't think so. I think what they're trying to do is, their main focus in this one is to mainly focus on the characters we've already seen in the movies. And at that point, then we'll introducing Black Panther. We're introducing the new Spider-Man. But mainly this film is focusing on all of the older characters, all of the characters we're used to, because we want to see their character arcs coming to a head, where they're all going at each other. And so this is a perfect way to kind of do that, because if Captain America was just like The Winter Soldier, another Captain America movie with all this kind of stuff, and there's no tension between heroes, it would probably get stale, because we are just getting used to the fact that each time the hero has a standalone movie or a team up movie, they team up, it's the same thing. So the fact is, this is a Captain America movie apparently, but this is a whole entire. This is like Avengers 3. This is Avengers 2.5 before Avengers 3. This is 2.5 essentially. They should just retitle it Avengers Civil War. If this was called Avengers Civil War, and this is, and left it as is, it wouldn't bother me a bit. It wouldn't. Like, instead of Age of Ultron, then the next year Avengers Civil War, people would lose their minds, because then it's all focused on the Avengers. But that's unfortunate. But hey, hopefully that they'll pull it out and able to make it a Captain America story more than a Avenger movie. But yeah, so there's that. So guys, so what do you guys think of this description of all this? Do you like the fact that that everyone's got updated costumes, people that they tease a little bit of the fighting, the General Thunderbolt Ross is returning, everything I just went through in the description, and you probably heard about all this stuff too. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think of all this stuff about Captain America Civil War footage, description, and all that kind of stuff? So there you have it. Let me take a sip of the drink. We'll get to the second topic. Okay, so topic number 2, which is Constantine is going to be in Arrow Season 4. Yes, I love this news. I remember back when they first announced this show, and at first I was like, okay, I like the character. They announced who the actor was. Matt Ryan is going to be playing Constantine, and I was like, okay, well, I've never seen him before. I might have seen him in previous stuff. I just don't remember. And when they started showing TV promos and they started showing, like, little spots or whatever promoting the show, I'm like, oh man. Every single time I saw something new, a new TV spot, new something, I was excited to see the show. I remember watching the first episode and I'm like, this is really good. It was dark, had some humor to it, and I really enjoyed Matt Ryan's portrayal of John Constantine, and I think that he did a really good job. And throughout the whole entire season 1, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed it. I wish they would have extended the episodes. I believe they only put out 13, and I enjoyed the character arc. I enjoyed the other characters that were in the show. And unfortunately, John Constantine, his show was canceled after season 1. They tried to sell it to other places. There have been rumors and speculation that NBC was just not going to be interested in renewing it for a second season, so they were trying to sell it to Sci-Fi. And the rumor was that if Sci-Fi was to pick it up, they would change the name of the show to Hellblazer instead of keeping it Constantine. They would keep the show, keep that cast, keep the people, and all that kind of stuff. They would just move it to another network, move it to another channel essentially, and they could possibly make it darker. That was the whole rumor for a while, and I'm like, hey, it's fine, if they move it to another channel, Sci-Fi and all that kind of stuff, and they change it to Hellblazer and all that kind of stuff, I'm fine with it because I like the show. And then unheard for a little bit that the CW, which hosts Arrow and The Flash, and the new Legends of Tomorrow show, which is appearing in 2016, and that apparently either wasn't true or it fell through with deal making. So unfortunately, Constantine the show is dead, but that doesn't mean that it could be picked up somewhere else down the road. Because hearing the news that John Constantine, Matt Ryan, is reprising his role as Constantine in Arrow Season 4 on a one-off episode for now. I'm going to get into a little bit of that in a second about my speculation about what could happen. But hearing that news is really good because not only does it bring Constantine back on TV, it also brings him into the universe. Now he's a character that can be used in future episodes. But hearing about his involvement in Season 4, the one-off episode basically talking about bringing back a certain character in the show who has been dead. Not going to go into spoilers, of course. And if you want to look into spoilers and all that kind of stuff, go ahead. But just hearing about him returning to the role is very, very good. And so let's talk about a little bit bigger of what this could possibly mean for Constantine. Going into a little bit of speculation because the main point about this topic is, of course, talking about the fact he's back on Arrow. But I don't want to go into spoilers and all that stuff for people who hasn't watched the show. But if you've probably seen the show, you obviously are listening to this segment, hearing my thoughts. But I want to talk mostly about what this could possibly mean for the show in general. Because bringing him back, even though his show was canceled this year. I mean, it ended in May. It ended in either March or something like that, where they just ended the show. And so his show has been dead for a couple of months, Matt Ryan's Constantine show. Um, but him appearing on Arrow could be very good for the show and very good for the DC TV universe with Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, which is appearing next year. Because now that he's officially a part of canon and he's officially a part of the universe, he could appear in Flash, he could appear in Arrow again, he could obviously appear in Legends of Tomorrow. That'd be awesome if he appeared in that show. But the bigger thing is that if his performance in his episode he's a part of in Arrow is received well by critics, received well by audiences, and people are demanding more Constantine, then the first step is probably going to include him in more episodes of either Arrow or Flash or Legends of Tomorrow when that show does appear, or he could get a second season on the CW. Now, that's kind of pushing it because it's a one-off episode, and then people are like, "Oh, we need more. Okay, let's redo it for another season." My whole thing is that if they go with that direction, then that means if Constantine gets a second season, they got to keep, of course, Matt Ryan, of course, obviously, but they need to bring back the cast that was in the season one, the main cast. They also have to make sure that it's going to be now sticking into the continuity of what's happening in the DC TV universe, which is what's happening on Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. Not every episode has to focus on him, but if we're including Matt Ryan into Arrow, that means these characters have the ability to show up from time to time to help Constantine and kind of, surprise the audiences and help the story move along and have it all be connected. It's kind of like the way I see it. There were people, not maybe not so much the originators, but the people who have made it successfully. Is that the Marvel Cinematic Universe completely different? I know it's the other company. People like the hate wars and the fanboy wars and all that kind of stuff. Marvel versus DC. I love both, but Marvel has been able to kind of connect the TV universe, the TV world, and the movie world together. But DC is different. Movie universe is different than the TV universe. But if you bring on Constantine, now it's official. He's part of canon, and he's now part of the show. He's a part of the universe. So now, if they make a second season, it has to be connected in some sort of way to show that there is some connection going on there. But like I said, I'm really excited for this news. I really enjoy Matt Ryan's performance as Constantine, and I can't wait to see him interacting with Oliver Queen. I can't wait to see him interacting with the other cast in Arrow. I think that it's just a great fit because it just shows that Constantine, his powers and his ability are vastly different than the people we have seen so far in the universe of the DC TV universe. His abilities as a hero is just something unique and different. And I like the fact that they're going to be introducing him in the universe officially, connecting on Arrow first. I believe that's the best fit at first because if you introduce him on the Flash, okay, there's been other people that are exposed to that explosion and all that kind of stuff that made the Flash, and made Barry Allen become the Flash, and all these other people to become what they are now. But for him, it would probably be very weird to see this more lighter show compared to Arrow, the Flash, having Constantine on first, and he's talking about demons and all this kind of stuff. You got to ease in John Constantine into the universe, and the best way to do it is Arrow because for Oliver Queen, he's dealt with Deathstroke, he's dealt with all these people and doing incredible and crazy stuff. And so bringing John Constantine in is not exactly out of the norm in the Arrow verse, by itself, not really talking about the connecting of all the other moving parts in this, TV DC universe. So John Constantine being in is the best fit, honestly. And I'm still holding on because I think this is really, really good for the show. This could possibly bring it back. Now, what's the possibility of him continuing on more Arrow episodes in Flash and Legends of Tomorrow? The possibility is now really high because if his performance and his episode he's a part of is received well by audiences and people love it and people want him to come back more and more and him being more involved in the episodes and different shows and all that kind of stuff, then you're probably going to see him more. What's the possibility of him getting a second season on the CW or something like that if NBC, who owns CW, I believe, or at least owns the company or owns some kind of partnership wants to renew for second season, I believe that it's definitely heightened now because they're keeping the character alive. They're keeping that version of the character. They could have easily said, "We're going to have Constantine on season 4 of Arrow, but we're going to be getting a different actor because Constantine, Matt Ryan's version, that the show that got canceled, that version of Constantine does not exist. That was a different Constantine. We need a different actor." And I'm glad that they're keeping the same actor, confirming he's in the universe. So this is really, really good news all around for Matt Ryan playing the character again, because he obviously loved playing the character, and to seeing these universes colliding in a very, very cool way is just awesome to hear that. So that's the podcast, guys. What do you think of all this information? Do you like the fact that Constantine is coming back onto TV essentially in an episode of Arrow? Do you like that fact? Do you wish that he got a second season like I do? Do you want a second season? Do you want it on CW? Do you want it to be revived on NBC? All that kind of stuff. Anything related to Constantine, the episode of Arrow, the season 2 theories, him appearing on other DC TV shows, let me know in the comment section below, guys. And also, like I said earlier, what do you think about the Civil War stuff, Captain America? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Check out past podcasts in the link in the description to all my past podcasts. Check them all out if you want to. If not, that's okay. I do this for fun. I don't do this for any other reason except for myself, because I like to do something different than reacting. So thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for checking it out. Peace out.